Captain Jake Morrison stood at the bridge window of the spaceship Odyssey and watched the alien planet grow larger. 3 years of space travel had led to this moment. First contact with other intelligent life. His hand shook a little as he gripped the metal rail. "Captain, we're getting signals from the planet," said Dr. Lisa Hamilton from her science station. She was the ship's expert on alien life forms. Her voice was excited but nervous. "Multiple sources. They know we're here." Commander Rick Torres, the ship's security chief, walked up beside Jake. "Sir, should we prepare weapons? Just in case." Jake shook his head. "No weapons. We come in peace." This is what humanity has dreamed of for centuries. The blue and green planet called Kepler Prime filled their view screen. Cities of glass and metal covered the surface. Massive ships moved between floating platforms in the sky. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Incoming message," announced the communications officer. "They're speaking in." "Wait, that's English." Perfect English. A voice came through the speakers. It sounded nervous. "Human vessel, you are cleared to land at Diplomatic Platform 7. Please follow the guide ships. Do not deviate from the path." Jake noticed something strange in the alien's voice. Fear. But why would an advanced civilization fear them? The Odyssey followed 3 sleek alien ships down to a massive landing platform. Jake could see hundreds of different types of spacecraft parked there. Some looked like metal birds. Others were simple geometric shapes. A few seemed to be made of living material that moved and breathed. "Full environmental suits," Jake ordered. "We don't know what their air is like." The landing ramp lowered with a hiss. Jake stepped out first, followed by Lisa and Rick. The platform was enormous, bigger than several football fields. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around, but Jake noticed they all stopped to stare at the humans. A tall, thin creature approached them. It had 4 arms, purple skin, and large black eyes. It wore robes that seemed to change color as it moved. "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Council," it said in that same nervous voice. "Welcome to Kepler Prime. We did not expect to see your species again." "Again?" Jake asked. "This is humanity's first trip to the stars. We've never been here before." Veltar's 4 arms moved in what might have been surprise. "You are from Earth." "Yes. The 3rd planet from the star you call Sol." "That's right," Lisa said. "How do you know about Earth?" The ambassador looked around nervously. Other aliens had gathered in a circle around them, but they all stayed far back. Jake could hear whispers in languages he didn't understand. "Perhaps we should speak privately," Veltar said. "There are things you need to know. Things about your world that frightened the galaxy." They followed the ambassador through corridors filled with more strange aliens. Jake noticed that every creature they passed either stared at them in fear or quickly looked away. Some actually ran in the opposite direction. "What's wrong with them?" Rick whispered. "It's like they've seen ghosts." Veltar led them to a large room with a round table. The walls were covered in star maps and alien writing. The ambassador gestured for them to sit. "Your people call your world Earth," Veltar began. "We know it by another name. The quarantine world, the forbidden planet. The place where the elders said no one should ever go." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The elders, who are they? They were the first great civilization in this galaxy. They explored every world, contacted every species, and guided the development of younger races. That was thousands of years ago. They are gone now, but their warnings remain. Lisa leaned forward. "What did they say about Earth?" Veltar's large eyes seemed to grow even larger. "They said Earth was too dangerous, that the creatures there were unlike anything else in the galaxy. They placed warning beacons around your solar system. They told all species to stay away." "That's impossible," Jake said. "Humans are peaceful. We've never even left our solar system before now." "The elders did not fear your technology. Veltar said quietly. They feared something else. Something about your nature. Your way of thinking. Your way of surviving. Rick stood up, his hand moving toward his weapon. Are you threatening us? No, Veltar said quickly, raising all four arms. I am trying to warn you. When word spreads that humans have mastered faster than light travel, there will be panic. Many species will want to destroy you before you become a threat. A threat to what? Lisa asked. To the order of things. To the peace we have maintained for 1,000 years. The Elders' final message was clear. They said Earth would either save the galaxy or destroy it. They were not sure which. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. What happened to the Elders? No one knows. They simply vanished one day, but their warnings about Earth remained. Most of us thought your world had destroyed itself long ago. We hoped it had. The room fell silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. So what happens now? He asked. Veltar stood up slowly. Now we must decide what to do with you. The Hegemony Council will meet tomorrow. They will decide whether humanity can join the galactic community or whether you must be contained. Contained. Rick's voice was dangerous. Prevented from spreading beyond your solar system. By force, if necessary. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was pale with shock. Rick was angry and ready to fight. Jake felt the same anger building inside him, but he pushed it down. We didn't come here to fight, he said. We came here to learn, to make friends, to join the galactic community as equals. The Elders said your species would say that, Veltar replied. They also said you would mean it. That is what frightened them most. Outside the window, alien ships moved through the sky like schools of fish. Jake watched them and wondered if humanity had made the biggest mistake in its history by reaching for the stars. The ambassador was speaking again. You will be given quarters for the night. Tomorrow, you will address the council. I suggest you choose your words carefully. The fate of your entire species may depend on what you say. As they were led to their rooms, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. But there was no going back now. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy, and the galaxy was afraid. The question was, should they be? Dr. Lisa Hamilton stood in the ruins of an ancient city on the moon called Sanctuary. The buildings were made of some kind of crystal that still glowed with soft blue light after thousands of years. Her alien companion, Kethmer, was carefully scanning the walls with his equipment. These symbols are Elder writing, Kethmer said. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird, with scales that changed color when he was excited. Very old, very important. Lisa had been working with Kethmer for 3 days now, ever since the Hegemony Council had given them permission to study the Elder ruins. The council hoped to find answers about why the Elders had feared Earth so much. Can you read what it says? Lisa asked. Kethmer's scales shifted to a deep purple color. Some of it, the language is very old, but there are records here. Moving pictures. Let me try to activate them. He pressed his clawed hand against a crystal panel. The room filled with light, and suddenly they were surrounded by three-dimensional images. Lisa gasped as she saw Earth as it was thousands of years ago. The images showed ice covering most of the planet. Massive animals that looked like elephants with long curved tusks wandered across frozen landscapes. But there were also small figures, moving between the ice and snow. Humans. The Ice Age, Lisa whispered. These are records from the last Ice Age on Earth. An elder appeared in the recording. It was tall and thin, with skin that looked like living starlight. When it spoke, words appeared in the air that Kethmer translated. We have studied the third planet of this system, the elder said. The creatures there are unlike anything we have encountered. They should not be able to survive. Yet they do. They adapt to conditions that would kill other species. The images changed to show humans hunting massive beasts. Lisa watched in amazement as small groups of humans brought down animals 10 times. their size using nothing but sharp sticks and rocks. They worked together, the elder continued, but not just with their own kind. They adopt young from other species. They form bonds that seem to ignore genetic relationships. This is highly unusual. Lisa saw images of humans caring for wolf pups, raising them alongside human children. She saw humans helping injured animals, even ones that might be dangerous. To them they show both extreme cooperation and extreme aggression, the elder said. They will die to protect strangers. They will also hunt their enemies across vast distances. They do not seem to understand the concept of giving up. The recording showed humans crossing frozen continents, following herds of animals through blizzards that lasted 4 weeks. It showed them building shelters from ice and surviving temperatures that would kill most other life forms. Kethmer's scales had turned almost black with worry. Lisa, you need to see this next part. The elder in the recording had changed position. Now it looked directly at them, as if it knew they would be watching thousands of years later. We tried to guide them, the elder said. We appeared to their leaders and offered knowledge, but they could not be controlled. They took our gifts and changed them in ways we did not expect. They improved on our designs. They asked questions we could not answer. Lisa saw images of elders trying to teach humans about farming and building, but the humans quickly started experimenting, creating new tools and methods that the elders had never thought of. They are chaos, the elder said. Beautiful, terrible chaos. They create and destroy in equal measure. They cannot be predicted or controlled. They are the only species we have encountered that scares us. The recording began to fade, but the elder's final words were clear. We are leaving this system. We will place warning beacons to keep others away. If these creatures ever reach the stars, the galaxy will never be the same. The images disappeared, leaving Lisa and Kethmer alone in the glowing ruins. My people were right to fear you, Kethmer said quietly. The elders were never wrong about anything. If they were afraid of humans, there must be a good reason. Lisa felt a mix of pride and worry. But we're not monsters. We're just trying to survive and learn and grow. That is what makes you dangerous, Kethmer replied. You never stop trying. You never give up. Most species accept their limits. You do not seem to have any. Back on Earth, Colonel Amy Brooks was discovering similar things in the Amazon rainforest. Her team had found elder ruins hidden deep in the jungle, covered by centuries of plant growth. The carvings here are different, reported Dr. Carl Johnson, her linguistics expert. These show more recent human history. Look at this. Amy studied the crystal wall. The images showed humans building cities, developing agriculture, and creating art. But there were also images of war, destruction, and conflict. The elders were watching us for a long time, Amy said. They saw everything, the good and the bad. Carl pointed to another section of the wall. This part shows something interesting. The elders tried to make contact with early human civilizations, but look what happened. The images showed elders appearing to humans in ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and other early civilizations. The humans welcomed them at first, but then something went wrong. The humans started asking too many questions, Carl translated. They wanted to know how elder technology worked. They wanted to modify it, improve it, make it better. The elders became uncomfortable. Amy saw images of humans taking elder tools and changing them, creating new versions that the elders had never imagined. The humans seemed to understand the technology better than their teachers. The final entry here is disturbing, Carl said. The elders say that humans have something they call the improvement instinct. They cannot leave anything alone. They must always make it better, faster, stronger. The images showed humans taking simple elder gifts and turning them into complex machines. They took elder medicine and created new treatments. They took elder weapons and made them more efficient. The elders realized they had made a mistake. Carl continued. They were not teaching humans. They were giving weapons to a species that could improve on anything they touched. Amy felt a chill as she read the final message. They will surpass us. They will surpass everyone. They cannot be stopped because they do not know how to stop. In another ruin in Antarctica, Amy's second team was making an even more disturbing discovery. The Elder records there showed recent observations of human behavior during wars and disasters. They were still watching us, reported Dr. Ben Carter, over the radio, right up until they disappeared. They documented World War II, natural disasters, epidemics, everything. Amy could hear the worry in his voice. What did they conclude? That humans get stronger under pressure. Other species break down during disasters. Humans get more creative, more cooperative, more determined. The Elders called it crisis evolution. Amy understood now why the galaxy was afraid. The Elders had not just feared human technology or human aggression. They had feared human adaptability. The ability to turn any challenge into an opportunity for growth. "Colonel," Carl said, looking up from his translation work. "There's one more thing. The Elders left a warning about what would happen if humans ever reached the stars." Amy walked over to read the final crystal panel. The words there made her blood run cold. If they escape their world, they will change everything. They will not conquer the galaxy. They will improve it, and no one will be able to stop them. As Amy read those words, she realized that the Elders had not just feared human destruction. They had feared human creation, the ability to take anything and make it better. Now that fear was spreading across the galaxy, and Amy wondered if they were already too late to prove that humanity could be trusted with the stars. The transport ship New Horizons drifted through space, carrying 300 human colonists to their new home. Paul Carter, the ship's chief engineer, was checking the mining equipment in the cargo bay when the attack began. Explosions rocked the ship. Emergency lights flashed red. Paul grabbed a communication device as he was thrown against the wall. "All hands to emergency stations," came the captain's voice over the speakers. "We are under attack by unknown vessels." Paul ran toward the bridge, but another explosion blocked his path. Smoke filled the corridors. He could hear people screaming and crying. Many of the colonists were families with children. They were not soldiers. They were farmers, teachers, and scientists looking for a new life. "Paul, over here," called Katie Walsh, the ship's doctor. She was helping injured people in the main corridor. "The bridge is cut off. We can't reach the captain." Paul looked around at the frightened faces. These people were looking to him for answers. He was just an engineer, but he was all they had right now. "How many attackers?" he asked. "For ships," replied Tom Baker, a mining specialist. "They're small, but heavily armed. They're demanding we surrender." Paul's mind raced. The New Horizons was a civilian ship. It had no weapons, no shields, no defenses. It was designed to carry people and equipment, not fight battles. "What do we have in the cargo bay?" he asked. Tom looked confused. "Mining equipment, construction tools. Why?" "Because we're going to defend ourselves," Paul said. "Katie, get all the injured people to the medical bay. Tom, gather anyone who knows how to use tools. We're going to fight back." "Fight back?" Katie stared at him. "Paul, we're not warriors. We're colonists." "No," Paul said, his voice getting stronger. "We're humans, and humans don't give up." Within an hour, Paul had transformed the cargo bay into a weapons factory. Mining lasers became cutting tools. Construction explosives became bombs. Heavy machinery became barriers and shields. "This is insane," said Mary Johnson, a school teacher who was helping load equipment. "We're turning farming tools into weapons." "The Elders were right about us," Paul said, not really understanding what he meant. "We adapt. We survive. We overcome." The attackers had boarded the ship through the damaged sections. Paul could hear them moving through the corridors, searching for survivors. They spoke in a language he didn't recognize, but their intent was clear. "They're not trying to kill us," observed Dr. Greg Williams, who had been listening to the alien communications. "They're trying to capture us alive." "Why?" Katie asked. "Probably to study us," Paul said, "to see how dangerous we really are." He looked around at the colonists who had volunteered to fight. There was Pete Jackson, a farmer who had never held a weapon in his life. There was Susan Reed, a grandmother who taught kindergarten. There was Mike Torres, a construction worker who had spent his life building things, not destroying them. "They're about to find out," Paul said. The first alien soldiers entered the cargo bay expecting to find frightened civilians. Instead, they found a carefully planned ambush. Mining charges exploded around them. Construction lasers cut through their armor. Heavy equipment, controlled by mining computers, moved to block their escape routes. The aliens had advanced technology, but they fought like soldiers. They followed rules and procedures. They expected their enemies to do the same. The humans fought like survivors. They used every trick they could think of. They turned the ship's own systems against the invaders. They used their knowledge of the ship's layout to appear and disappear like ghosts. "They're retreating," Tom reported from his position near the main airlock. "But they're calling for help." Paul looked at the exhausted colonists around him. They had won the first battle, but more would come. "We need to get word to Earth," he said. "They need to know what happened here." "The communication system is damaged," Katie said. "We can't send messages." Paul smiled grimly. "Then we'll have to tell them in person." He turned to the mining equipment that had become their salvation. "Tom, can you modify the mining charges to work as ship weapons? You want to arm a civilian transport?" Tom asked. "I want to arm a human transport," Paul corrected. "There's a difference." For the next 6 hours, the colonists worked to turn their peaceful ship into something the galaxy had never seen before. They used mining equipment as weapons. They turned life support systems into traps. They made the cargo bay into a fortress. When the alien reinforcements arrived, they found something that confused and terrified them. The New Horizons was no longer running away. It was hunting them. The farming ship used its modified mining lasers to cut through alien hulls. It used its construction equipment to grab enemy ships and pull them apart. It used its cargo bay as a launch platform for mining charges that had been turned into missiles. "This is impossible," one of the alien commanders said over the communication channels. "Civilians do not fight like this." "These are not civilians," replied another voice. "These are humans." Captain Jake Morrison and the Odyssey arrived just as the last alien attack ship was trying to escape. Jake stared at his screens in amazement. "The New Horizons is chasing them," reported Commander Rick Torres. "A farming ship is chasing military vessels." Jake opened a communication channel. "New Horizons, this is Captain Morrison. What is your status?" Paul Carter's voice came through the speakers. He sounded tired, but determined. "We're fine, Captain. Just cleaning up some trash that tried to attack our families." "Paul, these were military vessels. How did you fight them off?" "We improvised," Paul said simply. "We used what we had." Jake looked at the wreckage floating in space. 4 advanced alien warships had been destroyed or disabled by a transport ship carrying farmers and teachers. "Paul, we need to get you and your people to safety. There might be more attacks." "Negative, Captain. We're continuing to our colony. We have a job to do." Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Paul, you were just attacked by unknown aliens. The situation is too dangerous." "Captain," Paul said, and his voice was steady and calm, "we're humans. Dangerous situations are what we do best." As the New Horizons continued toward its destination, Jake received a message from Earth. "Admiral." Ben Clark's voice was serious and concerned. "Captain, we've been monitoring the situation. The attack on the New Horizons was not random. It was a test, A test of what? Jake asked. A test of human capabilities. The Hegemony Council wanted to see how we would react under pressure. They wanted to know if we were really as dangerous as the elders claimed. Jake looked at the wreckage around him. I think they have their answer. Yes, Admiral Clark said grimly. And now they're mobilizing their fleets. They're going to try to contain us before we spread any further. Jake felt a cold anger building in his chest. They attacked civilians, families, children. They underestimated us, the Admiral replied. They thought we would break under pressure. Instead, we got stronger, just like the elders said we would. As the Odyssey began its journey back to Earth, Jake realized that the galaxy's worst fears were about to come true. Not because humans were monsters, but because they were exactly what the elders had described: unpredictable, adaptive, and impossible to stop. The New Horizons had proven that humans didn't need weapons to be dangerous. They just needed to be human, and now, the galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. Dr. Lisa Hamilton felt her hands shaking as she read the final Elder record. She had been working for days in the ancient archives, trying to understand why the elders had really feared humanity. Now she knew, and the knowledge terrified her. Kath, you need to see this, she called to her alien colleague. I've found their last recording, the one they made right before they disappeared. Kethmer approached carefully. His scales had been showing stress colors for hours. What does it say? Lisa activated the crystal panel. The Elder appeared, but this one looked different from the others. It seemed older, more tired. When it spoke, its words carried the weight of terrible understanding. We have made a final study of the species from the third planet, the Elder said. Our conclusions are disturbing. They are not just another aggressive species. They are something we have never encountered before. The recording showed images of humans throughout history, ancient civilizations, medieval kingdoms, modern cities. But the Elder focused on specific moments: disasters, wars, catastrophes. Other species break under extreme pressure, the Elder continued. They panic, they scatter, they give up. Humans do the opposite. They become more organized, more creative, more determined. They treat every crisis as a puzzle to be solved. Lisa saw images of humans responding to earthquakes, floods, and plagues. In every case, they worked together, shared resources, and found solutions. Even when millions died, the survivors rebuilt stronger than before. They have what we call the paradox nature, the Elder said. They are simultaneously the most cooperative and most destructive species in the galaxy. They will die for complete strangers. They will also hunt their enemies across vast distances and never give up. The recording showed human soldiers in various wars throughout history, but it also showed human doctors treating wounded enemies, human civilians sheltering refugees, human scientists sharing knowledge with rivals. They do not understand concepts like acceptable losses or hopeless situations, the Elder said. They believe every problem has a solution. They believe every person can be saved. They believe they can make anything better. Lisa felt a chill as she understood what the Elder was saying. Humanity's greatest strength was also its greatest danger. They adopt, the Elder continued, not just young from their own species, but from others. They form bonds that ignore genetic relationships. They will treat alien creatures as family members. This is unprecedented. The images showed humans caring for animals, protecting plants, even forming emotional connections with their machines and tools. They named their ships, talked to their computers, and mourned when their equipment broke. If they reach the stars, they will try to adopt the galaxy, the Elder said. They will want to fix everything they see as broken. They will want to protect everyone they meet. They will want to make everything better. And they will never stop trying. Kethmer's scales had turned completely black. Lisa, this is why my people are afraid. You will not leave us alone. You will want to help us whether we want help or not. Is that so bad? Lisa asked. You do not understand, Kethma replied. Some species want to be left alone. Some problems cannot be solved. Some things are broken for good reasons. The elders' recording continued with more disturbing revelations. They learn from everything. Every failure makes them stronger. Every enemy teaches them new tactics. Every ally shares knowledge they improve upon. Lisa saw images of humans throughout history, taking ideas from other cultures and making them better. They took Chinese gunpowder and made better guns. They took Arab mathematics and made better calculations. They took Roman engineering and built better structures. They are chaos, the elders said. Beautiful, terrible chaos. They create and destroy in equal measure. They cannot be predicted or controlled. They are the only species that scares us, because they are the only species that could replace us. The recording began to fade, but the elders' final words were clear. We are leaving this galaxy. We will place warning beacons around their world. If they ever escape their planet, they will change everything. They will not conquer the galaxy. They will improve it, and no one will be able to stop them. The image disappeared, leaving Lisa and Kethmer alone in the glowing ruins. My people were right to fear you, Kethmer said quietly. You are not evil. You are something worse. You are unstoppable. Back on Earth, Dr. Carl Johnson was making his own disturbing discovery in the Antarctic ruins. He had found records of the elders' final experiments with human subjects. Colonel Brooks, you need to see this, he called over the radio. The elders tried to control human behavior. They failed. Amy Brooks looked at the crystal recordings Carl had activated. They showed elders attempting to influence human decision-making through various means. They tried telepathy, advanced technology, even direct genetic manipulation. Nothing worked, Carl said. Humans would take the elders' guidance and then do something completely different. They would improve on the elders' suggestions or ignore them entirely. The recordings showed frustrated elders trying to understand human psychology. They had studied hundreds of other species successfully, but humans remained a mystery. The elders concluded that humans have something they called free will amplification, Carl continued. They do not just have free will. They have an enhanced version that resists all forms of control. Amy understood the implications. They can't be ruled. They can't be controlled. They can't be predicted. Exactly, Carl said. And that's not the worst part. The elders discovered that humans spread this trait to other species. They come into contact with, they make other species more independent, more creative, more willing to question authority. The recordings showed various alien species that had been contacted by humans in the past. In every case, those species had become more innovative and less controllable after human contact. We're infectious, Amy said, with a mixture of pride and horror. We spread independence and creativity like a virus. The elders called it liberation contamination, Carl said. Species that interact with humans become more human-like. They start asking questions, challenging traditions, and improving on existing systems. Amy looked at the final recordings. The elders had concluded that humanity was not just a threat to galactic order. They were a threat to the very concept of control itself. If humans reach the stars, the elder recording said, they will not just change the galaxy. They will change the nature of civilization itself. They will make every species more like them, free, creative, and impossible to control. As Amy read those words, she realized that the galaxy's current panic was not about human aggression. It was about human influence. The other species were afraid that contact with humans would change them in ways they couldn't control. At the same time, the Hegemony Council was meeting an emergency session. High Chancellor Morden was reviewing the reports from the attack on the New Horizons with growing alarm. They turned mining equipment into weapons, reported General Kovac. They used farming tools to defeat military vessels. They should not have been able to do this. But they did, Morden said grimly. Just as the elders warned they would. They adapted. They improved. They overcame. Sir, our scientists have analyzed the wreckage, another council member reported. The humans did not just defeat our test forces. They created entirely new technologies during the battle. They invented solutions that our best engineers had never considered. Morden felt a cold fear growing in his chest. How long do we have before they spread to other systems? Their colony ship reached its destination yesterday, General Kolvac said. They are already establishing their second world outside their solar system. Then we have no choice, Morden said. We must contain them before they contaminate the rest of the galaxy with their chaos. As the Hegemony Council began planning their attack on humanity, they did not realize that they were already too late. The New Horizons colonists were already sharing their story with other species. The tale of farmers and teachers defeating military vessels was spreading through the galaxy like wildfire. And everywhere the story spread, other species began to wonder, if humans could do the impossible, what could they accomplish if they tried? The Elder's final prophecy was coming true. Humanity was not conquering the galaxy, they were inspiring it, and that was far more dangerous than any weapon. The war lasted only 3 weeks, but it changed the galaxy forever. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Odyssey as the final Hegemony fleet surrendered. Around him, the wreckage of what had been the most powerful military force in the galaxy drifted in space. But Jake felt no satisfaction in the victory. Only sadness for all the lives that had been lost. Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from the remaining ships, reported Commander Rick Torres. They're asking for terms. Jake opened a communication channel. This is Captain Morrison of the human fleet. We accept your surrender. Prepare to be boarded. We will treat your wounded and provide assistance to any damaged vessels. There was a long pause from the alien ships. Finally, a voice responded. You, ... You will help us, even after we attacked your worlds. Yes, Jake said simply. That's what humans do. The war had started when the Hegemony Council launched a preemptive strike against Earth's colonies. They had expected to find helpless civilian settlements. Instead, they found something that defied all military logic. Every human colony had defended itself. Farmers had become soldiers. Teachers had become tacticians. Scientists had become weapons designers. And they had all fought with a ferocity and creativity that terrified their attackers. On New Terra, Governor Marcus Webb had turned the entire planet into a fortress. Mining equipment became artillery. Agricultural domes became bunkers. Even the children had helped by running messages and supplies to the defenders. We didn't have a choice, Marcus had said during the battle. They came to our home. They threatened our families. We had to stop them. But the humans had done more than just stop the attackers. They had captured alien technology and improved it. They had studied enemy tactics and developed better ones. They had turned every defeat into a learning experience. Commander Torres had led boarding parties that moved through enemy ships like ghosts. They didn't follow military doctrine. They didn't fight honorably. They fought to win, using every advantage they could find. They don't fight like soldiers. One captured alien officer had said, they fight like predators, like hunting animals. But the most confusing part for the aliens was what happened after the battles. The humans helped wounded enemies. They shared food and medical supplies. They treated prisoners with respect and kindness. I don't understand, the alien officer had continued. First they try to kill us. Then they try to save us. Are they warriors or healers? They're human, Torres had replied. They're both. The turning point had come when Captain Nina Ross flew her fighter squadron into the heart of the Hegemony fleet. Her pilots had followed her on what should have been a suicide mission. Instead, they had somehow survived and destroyed the enemy command ship. How did you do it? Jake had asked her afterward. Nina had smiled tiredly. We didn't follow the rules. We made up our own. That had been the problem for the hegemony forces. They had trained for centuries to fight according to established military principles, but humans ignored those principles completely. They did whatever worked, regardless of whether it was supposed to be possible now. As Jake watched the alien prisoners being brought aboard human ships, he saw something that amazed him. The aliens were not just defeated, they were confused. They kept asking questions about human behavior that Jake couldn't answer. "Why do you help your enemies?" asked Admiral Zektar, the hegemony fleet commander. "Because they're not our enemies anymore," Jake replied. "The war is over. Now they're just people who need help." Zektar's 4 eyes showed bewilderment. "But we attacked your worlds. We killed your people." "Yes, you did, and we'll remember that. But you're also wounded and far from home, so we'll help you." "This makes no sense," Zektar said. "You should hate us. You should want revenge." Jake thought about that. Maybe some of us do. But hate and revenge don't solve problems. They just create new ones. The news of the human victory spread through the galaxy faster than light. But it wasn't the military victory that shocked other species. It was the aftermath. The humans had not enslaved their enemies. They had not destroyed their worlds. They had not even demanded tribute. Instead, they had offered help. They had shared medical knowledge. They had provided food and supplies to worlds damaged by the war. They had treated defeated enemies as potential friends. "It's unprecedented," reported Ambassador Veltar to the Emergency Galactic Assembly. "Every other species in galactic history has used victory to dominate their enemies. Humans use it to help them." Dr. Lisa Hamilton was now working with alien scientists to understand the broader implications of human contact with the galaxy. Her research had revealed something that frightened and fascinated the galactic community. "Humans are changing us," she reported to the assembly. "Species that have had contact with humans are becoming more creative, more independent, more willing to question authority. The elders were right. We're infectious." The evidence was overwhelming. Zephyrian scientists were developing new technologies at an unprecedented rate. Kethmer's people were asking questions about their government for the first time in centuries. Even the former hegemony worlds were experimenting with democratic reforms. "We're not trying to change anyone," Lisa said. "We're just being ourselves." But apparently, that's enough. The old galactic order was collapsing. The Hegemony Council had been dissolved. The rigid hierarchies that had maintained peace for thousands of years were breaking down, and in their place, something new was emerging. "We need a new system," said Jake, as he addressed the Galactic Assembly. "Something that respects the independence of all species, while still maintaining cooperation and peace." The solution they developed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of a central authority that controlled everything, they created a loose confederation of independent worlds. Each species could govern itself however it chose, but they would work together on common problems. "It's chaos," complained some of the older alien leaders. "Yes," Jake agreed, "but it's organized chaos. Creative chaos. The kind that builds things instead of just maintaining them." The new system worked because it was based on human principles: cooperation without control, help without domination, peace without oppression. It was messy and complicated, but it was also dynamic and adaptable. Years later, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his office on the space station that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Confederation. Through his window, he could see ships from dozens of different species coming and going. Trade was booming. Science was advancing. Art and culture were flourishing. "Captain," his aide announced, "we're receiving a message from Earth. They're launching a new exploration fleet." Jake smiled. "Where are they heading?" "The Andromeda Galaxy. They want to see what's out there." Jake nodded. That was humanity. For You always looking for new challenges, new frontiers, new problems to solve. The galaxy had learned to fear that quality, but now it was learning to appreciate it as well. Send them our best wishes, Jake said, and warn the Andromeda galaxy that humans are coming. He looked out at the bustling space station and thought about the Elders' final warning. They had been right about humans being unstoppable, but they had been wrong about one thing. Humans had not destroyed the galaxy. They had not even conquered it. They had improved it. And that, Jake realized, was the most human thing of all. They couldn't leave anything alone. They had to make everything better, whether it wanted to be improved or not. The galaxy was learning to live with that reality, and surprisingly, most species were finding that they liked it. After all, who wouldn't want to live in a galaxy where every problem was seen as a puzzle to be solved, where every enemy could become a friend, and where giving up was simply not an option? The Elders had feared Earth for a reason. Now, the galaxy understood that reason, but fear had turned to respect, and respect had turned to something like gratitude. Humans were chaos, but they were the kind of chaos that created beautiful things, and the galaxy was becoming more beautiful every day.